All right, so now we're going to continue where we left off, which is going to be looking at what taxes that Katie is actually going to be subject to be paid. So in this case, we're here on this page. We just finished the section about the direct deposit. We're not going to do that. So now this page here is going to say, well, what other payments that she is subject to have to do. So again, California is already selected. So again, this section right here, if you select that she's going to be in California, then this is where all the California taxes that she's subject to pay has to appear. Okay, so again, the next section, when it says here, state subject to unemployment. I believe they do have unemployment for California. So make sure that you select that too. Okay, and then here, while working for you in 2021, okay, did Katie Reynolds live or work in another state? Obviously, no. Okay, the assumption is she's working and she's legally in the state. Ooh, excuse me. All right. So now that we have this section completed, where's my mouse at? There it is. Next. So now the next section here is we're going to be looking at how to enter in the federal tax information for Katie. So this is where the W-4 form is needed, okay? Because this, as we talked about what a W-4 form is, it's basically how you're telling your employer how you want to be taxed at. Okay, so for example, if Katie has children, she can claim the children. If she wants to claim herself, she can claim herself. But then again, with the new 2020 form coming out, and now that it's 2021, right? That is all out the window. You're not going to need to know any of that information anymore. All you need to know is if she's single, and if she did claim an allowances, you're going to be doing it as dollar form. Now, of course, I'm still using QuickBooks 2019. It is not updated to the most recent QuickBooks, nor have I updated it to the latest release. So for right now, it's still recognizing that there will be considered allowances that you can find on the W-4 form. But again, proceeding on for 2021, you won't be utilizing the allowance anymore. It's going to be based on an annual dollar amount. That's the new payroll system. Okay? But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just, we're pretending that this is back in the past, right? We're still in 2018, apparently. So let's go ahead and fill in this information. So we know for a fact that she's actually married. Okay, she got a spouse. Okay, number of allowances. How many allowances does she claim? Two. So that could be assumption that she could claim herself. She could claim that she's the head of household. Who knows? Or she could claim that she has two children. Okay, and then any extra withholdings? I believe no. None for her.
No.
Okay. Now the next section here is going to be if she's a non-resident alien. Of course she's not. Does not apply to her. And again, does she have a higher act exemption? No, she doesn't have that. So now we're going to look at next section here. So she's subject to all of these taxes. She's subject to the Medicare and Medi-Cal in California's Medi-Cal. So that's there. Social Security, federal unemployment, and again, she's also going to have to do. Those are the main three. Okay. Now, California, there's also the California Disability Act as well that they have to pay for. So that's an additional tax that is going to be prevalent. So every state has their own set of taxes. In the state of Nevada, we do not pay state income tax. So good for you guys. All right, here we're looking at California. Here, California state taxes. So this is where we actually have to punch in the actual regular withholdings allowances. So for this is for the California state. So in this one, she's still married. There's no difference there. Okay, and then under the state of California, she still claims two, and she doesn't have estimated deductions, no deductions. Any extra withholdings, no. Okay, so this is for the state of California. So again, you apply one for the federal, and then the state of California has a separate one. Okay, and this is meant for those who are out of state. So if you are applying for the state right, you do the federal one, and then for if you are out of state, then you have to apply for the state that you belong to. Okay, so next. Now here is going to be entering in additional state taxes. So again, we talked about subject to the California employment tax and the disability tax. Okay, is this employee subject to any specific special local taxes? And in this case, I'm not aware of it. I don't live in California anymore, and this is Northern California. I have no idea if there's any special taxes, but in this case, no. And usually QuickBooks is really good about this. Once they pull up a state, you don't have to actually do much research. The only research that you have to technically truly do is which agency are you making payments to. That is the most important thing as in regards to setting up your payroll system. Okay, so now again.
If I might interject here.
Go ahead.
Okay, California, when I was in San Francisco, we also had special tax for BART, our subway system.
Oh,
that would be
a local tax.
Yeah, that would be a special local tax, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, there might be areas where you got to pay for something, something that's provided to the community that the state doesn't pay for, the county or city doesn't pay for, and they have their own taxing authority, and that'd be a special tax. That's not every case, and that's not always, but yeah, make sure about that.
Oh, that's cool. So again, usually, like I said, QuickBooks is usually pretty good at getting the foundations of this specific tax that you need to. But again, your company should know the most, because if you're applying for that company, they should know the most about what taxes they have to pay for. And again, I'm going to mention this a million times. IRS.gov is going to be your one-way gate ticket for the book that you can find all the taxes that you need to look for. And then, of course, you're going to obviously seek special guidance, or you're going to have an actual tax accountant that's going to tell you what taxes you need to pay, and they're going to help you get everything processed for you. All right, so going back to this scenario here, now the next one is to now set up wage plans and information for Katie Reynolds. So here this was to select the California wage plan code for her, and I believe this is going to be the S code. Yes, she's going to be the state plan, S, and then we can go ahead and click finish. So now we are finally done with Katie Reynolds. Now, as you can see, I'm not going to add anybody new, because if it has to go through all of those exact questions, you're going to be on this interview for the remaining of the time until you finish putting on your employees. But don't you worry. You can always set up your employees in the employee center. That's what it's there for. Okay, so you don't need to do every single employee through the interview. It just asks you, do you want to set it up here? And when you go through the interview, at least you have an idea of what information you need to have before setting up your employees. So that's pretty much it. It just makes it a little more easier to set it up by answering a series of questions. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and click continue, because I don't want to set up any other employee. So now we are here for the taxes. So again, because we are a company now, we set up the employees' taxes. Now it is our turn to set up our taxes that we have to pay for having employees. So taxes that we are subject to pay. So Miss Katie, right? We set up her federal income. We set up her state taxes, her her federal income tax withholdings. We did that. We did all of her stuff there. And we did her Medicare and her other stuff there. Now it's our turn to complete our section. So we have to be subject to do state unemployment, federal unemployment, if you need to, workers' compensation, other things such as our portion of the Medicare, our portion of the Social Security. So we have to go ahead and set up this section ourselves. So this is where you're going to be connecting to the exact agencies that you actually are going to be paying for these taxes. So as you can see, like I said, QuickBooks does a pretty good job of collecting the information for you based on the location that you have placed when you set up your actual company. It uses the internet to say, well, if you're going to be filing taxes, it connects to the internet and it says that, well, these are the taxes that you're going to be subject to have to pay. So you can't get rid of any of this. You can edit them, but you cannot get rid of them. So here, as we look, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Federal withholdings. Again, we only set that up for our employees, okay? We are also subject to advanced earned income, okay? So not quite sure about that, but you do need to tax your employees if they do pull out their 401k for any reason at any given moment. You need to tax them, okay? Federal unemployment, which we talked about. Medicare company, okay? Medicare employee. Then we have another Medicare employee. Then we have Social Security company, Social Security employee. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and I believe we are going to set up, I think we only set up a couple of them. So let's go ahead and look at the first one that we set up since we are setting up our taxes now. Okay. So the first one that we're going to be looking into is going to be selecting the company. You were using a QuickBooks, okay? So the first thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be the California. I have no idea what that says. The California UDD. I have no idea what that says, but that's going to be the first one that we're going to be looking at. So, the state information is displayed. Click on continue. Okay, so I think we're going to be looking at, or maybe we just click continue. Let's see what happens. All right, so here, let's see. The California disability is the first one. Then we have California unemployment, then California withholdings, and California employment. Okay, so here you go. So the first thing that we're going to be setting up is going to be the EDD. So the first one is the disability one. All right, so here again, all of these stuff is actually preset for us. So all of these, entities or agencies that we place in here, they're already pre-existing ones that QuickBooks has already done for us. So now we're just gonna link them, and we're gonna use that to associate to make payments to them. So the first one here is the book does say that when we do this, we need to set it up as 9%. 1%, and then 3.4%. Now in this case, I don't have that little section to enter in the 3.4%. So that is definitely going to be something that you're going to have to look into. But here's the enter, the 3.4%. This one is what I meant was this one, the 0.9, and then the 1. So mine's a little different because I am using the 2019 version, and I'm going with the newer updated version of it. So in this case, California disability is supposed to be 9.9%, and then the one that is just the training is 0.1%. So we have that already filled in. We typed in the 3.4%, and then now the next section here is going to be, we don't need to select anything else, so we can go ahead and proceed to the next one. So next, okay. So now that we set up that disability one, the next one that we're going to be looking at is going to be scheduling your tax payment. So then now I can go ahead and press next, since that was the only one I needed to adjust. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click continue. So here, first thing I see that is flashing is going to be my federal 940 and everything and so on and so forth. So now I'm going to start scheduling my payments. So here's the first one, is scheduling to pay for my federal 940. So this is actually making my payments for this one. Okay, so the taxes that we're going to be actually making the payment to, I believe this is EFTPS. So that is going to be, okay, all I know is that's the Federal Treasury something.
Federal tax payment system.
Yes, thank you. That is them. Okay. So now the question is, how often are you going to be paying them? And then this one is actually going to be paid every quarterly. So exactly what it says there. If you don't have it, you can, I think it might be, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. That's completely fine too. So again, usually these are preset. They're already in your QuickBooks file. So yeah. All right. So now that we finished that one, so the next one we're going to do is set up our next one, which is going to be, again, for the EFTPS. And then this is the, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. So the next one is this one, where we're actually looking at the setting up the payment schedule for the federal 940. So same thing. They are the same location. The United States Treasury, not that one. It's supposed to be the EFTPS again. And then we're going to actually pay them. How often do we pay the federal 401? We're going to pay them quarterly as well. Okay, so again, so it depends on your company on how often you need to pay your taxes. So remember that. Remember, if you're a small company, you can get away with paying taxes every quarterly. But if you're a major corporation, they're going to come after you right the week you finish doing everything. So you can expect that you're going to be making payments frequently when it comes to that. Okay, so now we're going to be setting up the next section, which is the California, the California withholdings. Again, it's automatically filled in. That is the EDD, which is correct. And again, now it's asking me to enter in an employer account number for the EDD. Let me see what we set it up as. The EDD is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And then how often are we going to pay them?
Quarterly, the usual frequency.
Yes. Okay. So we are going to keep everything simultaneously, or keep everything on the same payroll system. We're going to pay it every quarterly. So that means every quarterly we need to have a lot of money. So the next section here and the last section is going to be looking at the California so this is unemployment insurance. So that's UI instead of UTA. Okay. So this is unemployment insurance. Let's see what agency we are going to place them in. It is the same thing.
Same thing as an EDD.
EDD, same numbers, and it's going to be quarterly. Okay, so good. So everything's going to be the same here. EDD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's going to be a quarterly payment. So we are going to have that set up. But in this case, even if I were to select this, it's the only option that you have to pay the federal unemployment is quarterly anyways. You can't even select monthly or weekly. So this one is already it's already selected for you. Okay, and now that I've finished these taxes, now those are just setting them up. So setting them, how to pay them, and who's actually going to be receiving them. Now, in this case, what I've done here is I actually set up, when we'll talk about it tomorrow when we have our payroll set up, is that when we link these agencies in here, we actually we're going to set up an electronic funds transfer. So instead of sending a check to the actual place, it's actually just going to be wired directly to the government. So that's pretty cool what QuickBooks can do. So once I've done that, I can go ahead and click continue. So as you can see, that little button, now it says we're complete, and now it is now time to set up our year-to-date numbers. Now, this is only assuming that you have or that you're currently doing payroll in the middle of your payroll year, okay? Or you started QuickBooks and that's the next thing that you do, or you just actually now started the payroll services. So this is where you actually have to type in for every employee their information on their year-to-date stuff, okay? But in this kind of sense, they tell you to skip this portion because we're assuming that we're setting up each employee and setting up the payroll services for the first time. So in this case, I'm going to do just what the book says and go ahead and just click click next. And then it says, does your company what does that say? Does your company issue paychecks this year? Of course. Wait, hold on. How did I? Oh, okay, so no, that's right. I click continue. So, of course, with the assumption of this, we're supposed to select no. So that means this is assuming that we haven't released any paychecks. So therefore, my year to date is going to be 0. So by selecting no, and I press continue, then I complete my entire thing. But if I click yes, then again, I have to go back and enter in all the year-to-date stuff for the particular people. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click done and go to Payroll Center. So everything is now set up, okay? And again, when you're in the Employee Center, this is where you have free range to want to enter in anybody else that's your employee here. Okay, you don't have to go through the interview. As we know, it was pretty tedious. It was very long. So what you can do is just like the entering in a new customer and entering in a new vendor, you can just go right here and just click new employee. Now here, it gives you the options, right, of the exact stuff that we just were interviewed on, right? We have the address and contact information. We have the accounting information, and we have other things such as payroll information. What kind of payroll are they? Are they going to be salary, or are they going to be whatchamacallit? Yeah, hourly, things like that. Other employee information. So again, this is where you can set custom fields. Okay, if they have a job that they're assigned to, you can tell them what their job is. Okay, and then other employment dates and stuff. So when did they start working, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so basically all the information that we went through that entire section is going to be pretty much summarized up here in just 5 fields or 5 tabs. So that's what I'm trying to say. The interview is pretty extensive, but it kind of gives you an idea if you're setting up an employee for the first time, what kind of information do you need? But once you get that and you got the flow and you understand what you need, then that's where you could go ahead and enter in each employee one at a time. Now, of course, every time you enter in a new employee, you also have to assume that every employee is going to have different stuff. Now, to save extra time, all right, we can set what's called employee defaults, okay? Now, before I move on to that, is there any other extra questions in regards to the whole payroll setup window?
I have nothing now.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to be talking about how to set employee defaults. Now, this is when you since it took so long for us to enter in the first employee, the assumption is that, let's say you do have your company has 20 employees. If all of them are going to be placed in here one at a time, because you can't do multiple employees at once, right? The only thing that you can do is do it one at a time. So when we go here, what employee defaults does is, instead of having to select for the payment info, right? Or actually not payment info per se. It's more additional information. Where am I? This is not the correct one. If I go to new employees, okay, there you go. So if I go to payroll information, right? If my payroll schedule, if I'm supposed to make it for every single person to be bi-weekly, I don't have to go on every single person's account and have to place this in here, okay? Because that's too much work. Okay, I mean it's just only clicking of a button, but that's what they want to save you time on, is to help you fill out the employee's information as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to manage employees information, and you're going to go ahead and click add. You're going to go ahead and change employee default settings. So that means every time you enter in a brand new employee, these are the kind of things that are going to fill in automatically for you. Okay, so there's only a few things that you can set. So for example, again, you can do how often you pay them, what's the pay frequency, bi-weekly, or I could do semi-annually, right? But of course, if certain people are on a certain pay schedule, such as we talked about how Katie is on a semi-annual because she's salary, right? She gets paid every 15th and every 30th. But for my hourly wage people, I'm going to make them get paid every 2 weeks, right? So that's the notion here, is that here you can set up for every time you enter a new employee, you can have them be automatically bi-weekly. Or if you want to set this up now and then change it later, maybe you want to set up all your hourly wage people and then change it and then set up all of your salaries people. Okay. Yes, you could do that, and that's what this employee defaults do. So in this case, I'm gonna assume that everything's going to be bi-weekly, okay? And then payroll schedule. Now, we didn't talk about this. What is a payroll schedule? Well, a payroll scheduler, if you read in the book, allows you to have reminders for when, payroll needs to be paid. Okay, if someone is being paid on a bi-weekly and someone's being paid on a semi-monthly, it will notify you. That's all it is. Okay, it will notify you that, hey, you need to make a payment. But because we don't have the full payroll services just yet, so I'm going to have to talk a little kind of I just have to talk around it until we find out what happens when we actually have the payroll services on. Then you'll see where the payroll scheduler actually appears. So it's going to be actually part of the payroll service in order to put you on that scheduler. Okay. So I can go ahead and disregard that. Now, class, I can say that this group of people work at the San Jose location, and then this group of people work at the Walnut Creek location. So in this case, every time I enter in a new employee, I have the choice to say, well, this worker's for the San Jose location. So I can make that. But in this case, I'm going to leave it blank because I don't know for right now. Both Katie and Mike work for both locations because, again, if Mike is someone that goes out to the on-site field to actually take the photos, he can work for both locations. So it doesn't really matter. And Katie, too, if she's just the front desk office person, all she has to do is just answer phone calls. So she can work for both places, okay? So I'm going to leave that one blank. But if you'd like to, you can have them be part of the, either San Jose or Walnut Creek. Now, the payroll items, again, if you want to set up just salaries, you could go ahead and do salary people first. You can set up salary wages. And then, of course, because they're salary regular, they also get salary vacation. Okay. Oh, and then you are right. I did add in, for this one, I did add in that they do get salary sick as well. Oh, that's hourly. Salary sick. Okay, so if they are a salary regular person, they also get vacation and sick pay as well. Okay, and then again, if they are hourly or annually, you can also place it here too. Are they annually, hourly, or annually? And of course, we all know if they're salary, it's most likely going to be annually. So it's up to you if you want to set that up. Or again, you're not going to pay someone annually. You're just going to take the amount of money, just divide it evenly about amongst the paychecks. Okay, and then here is going to be any additional deductions or any a company contribution. So this is where you can tack on your 401k plan. Okay, so that means they receive both this and they receive this. And what was the last one I put here? I think I put medical. Yes. So that means every single person gets this amount. Now, because I'm setting up just my salaries usually I would say are going to be exclusive for only salaries and wages people and full-time employees. Okay, if it's a part-time, unfortunately they cannot get the 401k or any of those benefits. So if that's the case, then you want to make sure that you have your specific things and make sure when you do your employee defaults, if you do need to make changes to it to set up another type of employee, then go ahead and do so. So by doing this, I can go ahead and click OK. So the next time I enter in a new employee, all the information I need, so for example, the payroll information, it's going to fill in bi-weekly. All right, it's going to fill in that all of these things are going to be a part of the deductions and benefits. All of these are what I'm going to be possibly gaining or being compensated for. So here, instead of having to come here individually and actually clicking and filling them in all the way through, it already saved you time by doing it for you. Okay, so that's the only thing that's cool about the employee defaults, and it's definitely should be recommended to utilize if you are potentially adding multiple and as many employees you can. If your company has 20 people, then this does save you a lot of time. If you have 100 people, well, you can bet you it will save you a lot of time. So that's pretty much it for chapter 10. Last section I have left is to just pretty much teach you or show you the reports that come with the payroll. For this one, the most important one that you have here is just the employee contact list. Okay, so again, when we can do that, you're just going to go to your reports, you're going to go to list, and it's going to be your employee contact list. Okay, you know, let's say you have an important event that you want to invite, or maybe you're throwing your annual celebration of your company. Maybe it's the 5th year, 10th year anniversary, whatever it is. And you want to make sure that the employees are invited properly. Okay, then you can get their addresses, you can get their contact information, and send them out a formal invitation. Okay. Yes, you could do that too. Or let's say you need to call Mike for any reason and he's on site at another location, you need to contact him. You can go ahead and find his phone number or his information in this window, pull up his information and say, hey, Mike, I got something for you. Okay. There's a lot of uses of what you can do with this. You can look at employee contact information. If you need to email somebody, you can look there as well. So oftentimes a lot of companies, right, they like to send mass emails to every person that's in their company. So that is what this is good for. And you can print that out and make copies and then, send a mass email. All right. Other reports that exist, again, if it's pertinent to you, then it's pertinent to you. But if you got employee and payroll, pretty much what you can do is you could pretty much summarize the payroll data, okay? You can look at the payroll item list, okay? You can look at the details. You can even look at how much each item has. You can also look at the amount of state taxes someone has, the payroll transactions. Again, if you're the HR for this, then this section is for you. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything. I'm only going to go through, I only went through like one, which is the employee contact list. Again, this information is only pertinent to you if you are the employee, or maybe if you're the boss. Okay, and you want to make sure that these payments are going through, there you go. But as far as for a regular person who's just a regular accountant, this is nowhere near you. Okay, so again, I'm not going to show you everything just because it really depends on your position in the company. Okay. All right. Any questions in regards to anything about employee payroll setup?
No, I have nothing now.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. So know that if you are doing this and you are for your fictitious business, because I don't want you to spend money, plus you're not a legitimate company, so that's going to double whammy you. So with that being said, if you are going to be doing manual taxes, you're gonna have to enter everything in, right, manually, as in going to each account and actually updating them with the proper taxes that belong into which one, and you're going to just write a check to the employee. That's it. There's not much that you can do because we don't have the payroll services, and that's a paid thing that you have to do. It's a subscription, and what it does basically for you, it calculates all the expenses, calculates all the taxes, and it even categorizes them, and when you're ready to pay them, you just click the pay button and boom, you automatically send a check, or it gets automatically transferred to their account. But if you're doing manual payroll, like I said, You're just going to enter in the time, how much you're going to pay them, and you're going to calculate it manually, and you're just going to write them a check. That's the only way you can do it. And then you're going to have to update or do a journal to update what accounts were affected. Okay? That's the only way that you can do the manual payroll. Okay? So tomorrow we're going to be looking at an example file. So again, tomorrow we're going to be using... I'm sorry. I forgot tomorrow was Friday. I meant Monday. Monday, we're going to be actually looking at a sample file of a payroll service. So, QuickBooks or the Academy Photography, because they do this for student purposes only, to kind of show you what the payroll services actually does in case you are interested in it. So, again, Monday is going to be a sample file, and again, you're gonna it's almost unbelievable on how quickly payroll can be done. Okay? You don't need to sit there and calculate. You don't need to look up any tables. All you have to do is click, yes, I pay this. Yes, those are the correct percentages. Yes, and you're done. Okay? So let me go ahead and let's go over the review questions, and we're done for the day. So review questions here. Question number 1. Okay. An easy and convenient way to process payroll in QuickBooks for employees on different pay schedules is going to be using what?
I have B.
B, to use the payroll schedule function in QuickBooks. Yes, and again, I'll show you where to locate that when we go into chapter 11. Okay, so yes, funny thing to, I mean, honestly, you know, just experience of many companies, you don't want to be dealing with this and stuff. So outsourcing is actually going to be a better way to do it, but of course this is opinionated, but for this particular scenario, B is the correct answer. Okay, number 2. Which of the following payroll periods is not an option in QuickBooks?
D.
Oh, D.
D, semi-annually. So this one I didn't really, it was very vague or very quick that I went through this. So when we look at the payroll period, we talked about this, right? In accounting, there's many different types of pay periods that you can have. But most oftentimes, because you are working using QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is primarily geared towards taxing, right? It's to make it easier to file your taxes. They don't let you do semi-annually. That's 6 months out. They're not going to let you do that because, you know, even a small corporation can use QuickBooks Pro. It's not just meant for only small businesses. So general rule of thumb is the most you can do is quarterly. Okay, so yes, D is the correct answer. There is no option for you to do semi-annually. Number 3, which payroll items cannot be created in the payroll setup interview?
I have D.
D,
Create all of those.
yes, you can. You can create commissions, right? That's a part of compensation. Yes, you can do bonuses. That's part of compensation. Yes, you could do medical insurance. That's part of the additional benefits. Okay, so yes, you can create all of these items. Yes, you can. Number 4, okay, which is not an option when setting the accrual period for sick and vacation time.
D.
D, every hour on every paycheck. Number 4. Okay. Any other guesses?
Not an option when setting the accrual period for sick and vacation time.
Every month?
All right.
P2.
All right, so the correct answer is actually every month. Okay, so this one was also something quickly that we went over. This is when we set up the sick and vacation pay. It allows you, how do you want to accrue it, right? They gave you 3 options, all right, and one of them is not every month. That one is an option every hour of every paycheck, and then you can also do every paycheck or every beginning of the year. So this one is going to be one of those days that you have to look very carefully for
Yeah.
when you set up your sick or vacation pay section. Okay. So when you go over the payroll setup again, just make sure that you can look into details for this. Okay. And then lastly, number 5, the payroll setup interview will not allow you to
I have D.
add 2 employees with exactly the same name. Yes, it will not let you do that. Okay, so this is actually true for everything else. It's not just only employees. It's for customers, it's for vendors, it's for employees. Because again, QuickBooks, when it recognizes a name, you have to make some kind of differentiation or some kind of like little difference in there, like maybe like an E for employee, V for vendor, and C for customer. You need to make some kind of variation between if it is the same exact person. Now, of course, we also live in a world where it could be very possible that we have two employees with two with the same exact name. Now, QuickBooks is not going to recognize the social security, okay? It would only recognize the name, okay? So even with that, that's why the middle name is there, so then you can kind of differentiate the difference between them. If it's a middle initial, let's say you have 2 employees with the same exact name and middle initial, then you're gonna have to write out the full middle name. So, it's not going to recognize any differentiations, the address and everything. No matter how much information you place into a name, it's not going. They're not going to use that to differentiate it. They're going to only look at the name. So that's kind of the trick about QuickBooks is you kind of have to work a way around it. Okay, so yes, D is the correct answer. All right. All right. So cool. We get to leave an hour early. Okay? So, few things I have to note here.